Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at how to manipulate lists using Lambda functions and extension methods in C#. So let's get started. We're going to first start by sorting a list, right? So we're going to be using an extension method and Lambda function to sort this list. Right now this list is a list of integers that are arranged in random order, and we want to sort them in ascending order, right? So ascending order, meaning from smallest to biggest. Okay, so how do we go about doing that? We create a variable. We're going to call this variable an ordered list, right? This variable will contain the ordered list, the sorted list, right? And then we're going to assign this new variable to nums, which is the original list, this list, right? And then we're going to use an extension method called order by, right? Order by. So this is order by extension method, and you can see the description here. It sorts the elements of a sequence in ascending order according to a key. So in providing the key, we use Lambda functions. So this is how we provide a key. You can use any letter you want or any variable you want here. It's up to you. So I can just use n and then say n, and just like that we have written a function. We have sorted this list in ascending order, right, by using an extension function and Lambda function. Okay, so what did we do here, right? We had a list that was arranged in random order, and then we created a variable in which to store a list that will be arranged in ascending order from smallest to biggest, and then we used the original list to call an extension method, the method that is called order by, that does what? That sorts the elements of a sequence in ascending order according to a key. This key we provided using a Lambda function, right? And we said here in the Lambda function, the letter need not be n. It can be any other letter, right? So we could have used x like this, but it needs to be similar here and here. Okay, so now let's look at the results, right? So in looking at the results, we are also going to use extension methods and Lambda functions. Rather than iterating through the ordered list using a for loop, right, we're going to actually use an extension method that resembles a for each loop. Okay, so let's look at it. So we're going to say ordered list dot for each. You see, so it starts with capital letter F and capital letter E after, for each, right? And then we pass in parentheses. Now you can see here there is an error here. The function is not recognized. That is because the order by extension method returns what? It returns an I-ordered enumerable, right? So we are expecting what? A list, right? We are expecting a list, so we want to convert this to list, right? And now you can see the function is being recognized, right? So now, as with this extension method, which required a Lambda expression, this one as well also requires a Lambda expression. And in this case, we just want to say x, right? Now we can even just use n here, just to show you that the letter here doesn't really matter. So you can say n and then n, right? But we don't just simply want to use a key here. We want to actually do something about the values here. We want to actually print them out one by one. That's why we are using this extension method right here. So let's do that. So we're going to say console.write, right? And then we want to print each value of n, right? And then we can just print a new line after. Okay, so what does this line do? Okay, so what it happens is this line actually prints each and every value in the ordered list that is sorted, right? So for example, it will start with 0, and then it will go with 1, and then it will go with 2, and then it will go with 2, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. It will basically print out all the sorted numbers in order. Okay, so just look carefully here at the Lambda function, right? So we're able to use this n value here, calling console.writeLine here, another function here. Okay, so now this line just enters into a new line. We're basically adding a new line after the list has been printed. But let's actually run the code, right? I'll say .NET run. Okay, so as you can see, the list has been ordered 0, 1, 2, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, right? So we have an ordered list now. So that is well interesting and good, right? But what if now we wanted to sort the list in descending order, right? So then we do the same thing, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna comment out this line, right? I'm gonna comment out this line. First, I'm gonna copy it. Let me just copy it. Okay, no, let me not copy. Let me just rewrite it as it is. I'm just gonna comment out this line, and then I'm gonna write the same thing, right, as above. I'm gonna say create a variable ordered list, right, and then equals to nums. But look now, since I want the list to be sorted from largest to smallest, from the biggest value to the smallest value, I'm gonna have to change the order by to dot order by descending. I'm gonna say order by descending. It's order by descending. Okay, so the extension method now is gonna be order by descending, right? And as you can see here, it says it sorts the elements of a sequence in descending order according to a key, right? So this extension method right here is similar to the extension method order by, but the only difference is that here we're actually order by descending. We are descending from the biggest value to the smallest value. So as you can see here, we are just gonna reverse this output from 8, 7, 5, 4, 2, 2, 2, 1, 0, right? Okay, so let's continue. So now we also have to provide a key here, and just like we did with the lambda function in order by, we're gonna do the same here as well. Let's say n, right? So we now have a list that is ordered by value from biggest to smallest. Okay, but now you see here that we have an error here again. That is because the order by descent is also returning an enumerable, right? So we need to convert this to a list. Okay, now the error has disappeared. Okay, so now let's print this list again and see if we get a different result now. As you can see, we have 8, 7, 5, 4, 2, 2, 2, 1, 0. So now it's ordered in descending order. So that is how you would sort lists in C# using extension method and lambda functions. Okay, so now let's look at filtering, right? We've seen how to sort lists. Now let's look at filtering using extension methods and lambda functions. Let us comment all this out. And we're going to be using the same list for now, right? So we're going to be filtering instead. Right. So here I'm just going to provide a new variable called filtered list. Right. So in this filtered list, we're going to use nums, right? This original list. And then we're going to call another extension method, but this time the extension method will be find all. Right. So say I want to find all 2's in this list. All 2's, right? All the number 2's, right? 2, 2, 2. So there are 3 of them. So I'm going to use an extension method again, but this time it's going to be a slightly different modification, right? So we're gonna say num n, right? Same thing n, right? But this time I want to take that number, right? So I want to take that number if it n is equals to 2, right? So I'm basically providing a condition here that store the n, or rather the value, in the filtered list only if it is equal to 2, right? So now that I've done that, let me now print the results. So I'm just gonna use the same method of printing the result using extension method and lambda function. So I'm just gonna say filtered list dot for each, right? And I'm gonna say n console dot write print n, leave a space for the second value. Okay, and that's it, right? So now I have filtered the list according to 2's, right? So I'm only gonna get a list that consists of 2's in the filtered list. So let's actually print this out and see. Okay, so let me just clear that. So if I run this now, you see here, this is my list. I get a list of 2, 2, 2. Now the reason why I have this here is because I didn't enter into a new line. Remember that line that I showed you earlier? This one. So I was supposed to enter a new line so that my output could be cleaner. So let me just remove the comment here. Okay, so when I run that again, okay, so as you can see, it's 2, 2, 2, 2, right? Okay, so now let us filter the list such that we get numbers that are greater than 5, right? So we want the filtered list to contain all numbers that are greater than 5. So we're gonna say n greater than 5, right? And just like that, we have 7 and 8. We only have 7 and 8 numbers that are greater than 5, right? So this is interesting, right? But so far I've been working with numbers, right? And then you ask yourself, what about strings? Can we also do the same with strings? Well, yes, we can do the same with strings as well, right? So for example, let's say we have a new list now, right? So I'm just gonna comment this out. So let's say we have a new list, but this time it's a list of strings. So we're gonna say names, right? And then we're gonna initialize this list with a few names. So I'm just gonna say David, Fallen, Angel. Okay, so I've created a new list and I've called the list names, right? So we're gonna do the same thing we did here with sorting, right? So I'm just gonna create a new ordered list, right? And I'm gonna say names dot order by, right? Remember what I said, order by descending orders the list from biggest to smallest, but in this case it will be alphabetically. So here I'm gonna use order by first. Remember what I said about order by? It orders the list in ascending order. Okay, so we wanna order by name in name, right? N in N, right? Same thing, right? Same format. This is now we are working with strings. So what will happen is it will take the letter that begins first in the alphabet, right? So it's A, B, C, D. Yeah, it's gonna order it in that manner. So let us now print the list. So we're just gonna say ordered list dot for each, and then we're gonna write n, n, say console dot write n. Okay, so we still have an error here, and I'm sure you've already guessed it, that we actually need to convert this to list before we can use that, before we can use this extension method here, right? So now the error is gone. Okay, so let us actually print that and see now. So as you can see here, it starts with Angel now, and then follows by David, and follows by Fallen, right? So A, B, C, D, E, F, you see? Okay, so that is now how you would order or filter list. We can also do filtering as well. Okay, but I'm not gonna do that because you've already seen it. You can actually do it yourself now. I'm sure you'll be able to do it just fine now, right? So there are other more complicated tasks, right, where you actually use your Lambda functions to do queries on databases, right, using LINQ or using language integrated queries, right? But we're going to look at that later. So for now, I'm going to stop here. I hope you found the video helpful.